So y'all give it up one time for our newest Spotlight family member, author Haywood Donerson.
Give it up, give it up, give it up, give it up, give it up. Yes, indeed.
Hello.
Well deserved, well deserved.
Welcome.
Thank you for being a part of Spotlight, man.
No, thank you for having me. I've been hearing so much about you. I've watched the show before, but just, a lot of people in the streets talk about you all in a positive way.
The streets talking.
Oh, yes, sir, in a positive way.
Well, that's God, man.
I
That's
love
God.
it.
We appreciate that much, man.
love
So
that.
thank you for being a part. Is this your first book?
Yes, sir.
And so that's a big deal. So let's give it up for that, first of all. Let's give it up for our author in the building. His
First-time
first time out. We appreciate that much, man. So how did that come about, and how did you get that title?
A King's Path.
Well, I if you know me, I know people from City Hall all the way to Southside, and they all know me as King because that's how I address everyone. Whether you're a homeless person or whether you're a city councilman, I'm gonna address you as King and Queen and things of that nature. I've been doing it about 20 years now because, a lot of people talk about the N-word, which I still use, But, my thing is I just wanted to try to create a different dynamic. So I wanted to address us as kings and queens, and I felt that maybe we would act that way. Sometimes I'll adjust it if you act like a court justice now. So
Then you gotta switch it off a little bit.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But I appreciate that. I do the same thing, as a matter of fact. And what I'm noticing is when I do it to my younger boys, they look up different. They respond different.
Yes,
like
sir.
they never like they haven't heard that.
Yes, sir.
And so when I was like, "What's good, King?" They be looking like, "What's good, OG?" And they
yes,
look at me
indeed.
like, "Wow,
Indeed.
like he called me a king,"
Yes,
So
indeed.
I noticed the younger people really like that.
They
take-
receive that. I've worked in D.C. government before, and I worked in the pit over there in the Southeast, and let me tell you something. Every time I addressed everyone as king and queen, there was a different stance.
Yep.
People, oh, what? You talking to me in this way?
Mm-hmm.
And I've talked to some of the hardest dudes in D.C. and said, you know what, bro, I love you. And they're like, well, damn, nobody's ever said that to me before.
You'd be surprised.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, man. Well, I'm not gonna get into that, but I will say this. I can address what you say by saying it was a young man that came to me when I had my beauty and bottle supply store, and he told me that he had never received love. He was a foster kid, so he said, if you haven't received it, how can you give it? Because he was real cold, he was real hard with it, and I was trying to understand him. And so what you're saying is real. Like, these young kids need to be loved on, and they need somebody to express something to them. And sometimes we so cool, we get on the elevator and won't even look at them.
Yeah, man. And as a person that's in my 50s, I'm thankful to be this age because I grew up in the 70s and the 80s. So a lot of revisionist history that's being portrayed online. I was back during that time, so I just feel that a lot of our Generation X, we've got to step up more because I'm trying to figure out the disconnect because we're sounding like our parents when we complained about the youth. Say, oh, but look at them, look at this, that, and the third. And I can't believe we was the ones wearing the AJs, jeans inside out,
The gas
so on and so
and
forth. What? And at the Go-Go's, how we was back in the early 80s,
All
and
the
late
way
80s.
turned, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, I give these youngest a lot of grace.
And they need it,
Yeah.
and I respect you for that. So let's talk about the book a little bit. So,
Yes, sir.
How did that come about, and what is it about? What is your book about?
Well, the book came about because I have quite an exhilarating life from, I grew up in the hood, but I'm a nerd. So I like science and all that kind of stuff. So it's funny because both sides of my family is from 58th and East Capitol.
Shout out 58, Black and the whole
Yes,
gang. Yes, sir.
Rest in peace, my mom. She just passed last year. But when I tell you, during the pandemic, everything had shut down, and I was getting a lot of inquiries about my story. Everyone was hearing about how my brothers and I and friends, we went out to California with a go-go band in the late 80s. We were playing on the beach and on the boulevard of Hollywood and Melrose, and that's how we got discovered. And we got a record deal back in 1989 playing go-go music on the streets of Hollywood, and no one knows this damn story.
Man, give it up for my guy. So y'all heard it right here on Spotlight over the city.
Wow. I love that.
Yes, ma'am.
What did you play in the go-go band? What was your...
Well, back in I was sounding like an old head. Back in the 80s, the number one position in the go-go band was the congas. Whether it was Jungle Boogie, Go-Go Mickey, all them. So
still is.
for me, playing the congas, that was my thing. I grew up being laughed at and teased, and as soon as I started playing, the congas, Everybody from the drug dealers to the jocks to the cheerleaders, everybody in school liked me. Okay.
You was cool. You became
yes, sir.
cool. All of a sudden, you was cool.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So let me say this though. I think you're very necessary for our communities. Everybody can't look the same. Everybody can't be the same. We need a whole bunch of nerds coming out the projects and coming out the hood so they can see that you can become more than a ball player. You don't have to sell dope. You don't have to be a shooter. You don't have to do those things to be successful. You can actually write books. You can actually be reformed, have a reformed mind.
Yes, sir.
You can do some of those things. So how do you address your community and where you come from as far as your book is concerned?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, King. Well, I like to give back to the community. So I sit on the board of directors for two nonprofit organizations. One is the Lockridge Foundation, which sends kids from Ward 7 and 8 to college as well as to Africa. And I also sit on the board of directors for the National Association for the Advancement for Returning Citizens, Mr. Eric Weaver and the crew.
Hold up. Let me say this.
That's Spotlight Family.
Shout out Eric Weaver.
Yes, indeed.
Shout out my man Sean Branch.
Yes,
shout out everybody over there who rocking with the returning citizens. That's my gang.
And
over there.
Dr. Majid, he's been on the show too.
Shout
They're
out to
all
the whole
affiliated with that.
gang. They're doing amazing things. So yeah.
Let me just say this real quick while we have this platform. You know, a lot of times people look at me and they say, oh, you know what? Look at how he's dressed. Look at how he's talking. You know, I can't relate to him. But when I tell you I try to give back to the community because I want you to understand there's so many nerds still in the hood right now, you know? And let me say, you know, someone like me, I didn't, you know, go to Lorton, but I was down in Lorton, you know, as a kid, going to visit my great uncle down there every summer, you know, when they had the family days and so on and so forth.
Everybody know about the family day.
Yes, sir. So I have that relationship where I have empathy for all the people in the hood that we grew up together, even though we may be cut from a different cloth, I still have that care and concern for our neighborhoods.
And I'm going to just say, to piggyback off of you, if it wasn't for the grace and mercy of God, I would have been a Lorton participant for sure.
Yeah.
No question about that. So it was only because God had his hands on me that I wasn't down there for some years. And I definitely visited that place too much.
Yes, sir. And then, now, I wasn't the best in school. Now, when I say nerd, I just like science and all that, but I did bad in school. You know, I wasn't, you know, I knew all the bad people.
So you still had some Southside on you.
You hear me?
You still was Southside.
You hear me? So, you know, my thing is, you know, I didn't do well in school. I dropped out of school, and when my girlfriend was pregnant, you know, I went to California to get the record deal, and, you know, which is also in the story, my son, who means the world to me, he's disabled. And that's why I gave up my record deal and came back to D.C. because when he was diagnosed with cerebral palsy, I didn't grow up with my father, so I wanted to try to change the dynamic. So I came back.
But wait. I want to give it up for that right there, though. Because let me tell you something. That's major. That's major. We ain't going to just glance past that like that. That's not important. Yeah. That's very important.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So, you know, I came back. I started working with disabled children so that I can learn about cerebral palsy and the diseases and things of that nature. But, you know, something in me still wanted to be in the entertainment industry. So I switched from Go-Go Smacky to Haywood Donerson, the suit wearing dude, because I seen that you could still do public relations and all those types of things and still be in the know of what's going on in the entertainment industry.
So this Go-Go Smacky inside of here? All up in that suit right there.
I know that's right.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
I need that suit. Go Smacky.
I know that's right.
So you got some questions real quick before we let them go?
You all covered everything that I would have wanted to ask. And before we wrap things up, though, I really do want you to take an opportunity, Haywood, to tell people how they can support your book. And if you have anything else coming up that you want people to know about, make sure you plug it.
Well, first, I wanted to say thank everyone for supporting me, including Mr. Stan and Miss Terry Long. You know, let's give them a round of applause because they're really doing something great.
Thank you.
And they really are needed. This platform is so amazing. So you can be able to pick up my book at hd3global.com, or you can follow me on Facebook at Haywood Donerson III, or Instagram, Mr. D from DC.
Mr. D from DC. You got
DC.
that?
So is it D-E-E or just Mr. D?
Mr.
Like
D.
Oh, no, just
the
one
letter
D.
D.
I took that from my father.
Mr. D.
Mr. D from DC. Well, we thank you so much
Let's go.
for being a part of our Spotlight family. Anytime that we can have our platform collab with you to do whatever, just let us know. You family now. You stuck with us now.
Make sure you get your copy. Make sure you get your copy. Make sure you support our black authors and our black entrepreneurs, because it's very important that we keep our money in our community, all right? Let's do that.
That's right, y'all. Give it up for
one more time for our
Spotlight family.
Mr. Haywood Donerson in the building. Let's go.
Y'all ready for Timeless Entertainment?
Timeless Entertainment in the building.
Up next, Timeless Entertainment is in the building.
We'll be right back. Spotlight over the city.